I took the call at 11:47 p.m., right as I was wrapping up my shift. The woman's voice came through shaky but controlled, the kind of calm people force on themselves when everything's gone wrong. She said her name was Sarah, and she'd been in an accident on Route 9, and that a car had gone off the road into a ditch. I pulled up the incident report screen and started typing. Route 9 was a straight shot through farmland, barely any traffic this time of night. I asked if she was injured, if anyone else was involved, and she said no, just her, just the car, just the dark road and the ditch. She described the scene while I dispatched emergency services. There was a bent guardrail where she'd gone through, she said, a faded billboard for a furniture store about a quarter-mile back, tall grass on both sides of the road, the kind that whispers when the wind moves through it. I knew that billboard. I drove past it every night on my way home. Sarah's breathing got heavier as she talked. She said she'd been driving home from her shift, tired, not really paying attention. Something had run across the road, maybe a deer, she wasn't sure, and she'd swerved. The car had fishtailed, punched through the guardrail, and settled nose down in the ditch. I told her help was on the way, 14 minutes out. She thanked me, her voice cracking just slightly. Then she started describing what she could see from inside the car. There was an old farmhouse set back from the road, she said, with a porch light that flickered on and off every few seconds, the kind of light that makes you think someone keeps flipping the switch, even though you know it's just bad wiring. I could picture it perfectly, because I'd noticed that same house a week ago and made a mental note about that exact flickering light. My hands stopped moving on the keyboard. I asked her to describe the farmhouse again. She did. White paint, peeling in long strips, a rusted pickup truck in the driveway, no wheels, just sitting on blocks. A wooden fence that leaned so far to one side it looked like it would fall over if you breathed on it. Every detail matched what I saw each night on my drive home. I checked the GPS coordinates from her phone. Route 9, mile marker 47. That was my route. That was exactly where I'd be in about 20 minutes after my shift ended. Sarah asked if the ambulance was close. I told her 12 minutes now, trying to keep my voice steady. She said the car was getting cold, that the heater had cut out when the engine died. She said she could see her breath fogging up the windows. Then she described the next landmark, a small wooden bridge crossing a creek, the kind with metal grating instead of solid pavement. She said she'd driven over it maybe a mile before the accident, that the sound of her tires on the grating had been loud in the quiet night. I drove over that bridge every single night. It was the last landmark before the long empty stretch where the guardrail was bent and the grass grew tall and the ditch was deep enough to swallow a car. I asked Sarah what she'd been doing before the accident, trying to keep her talking, trying to understand. She said she'd been working a late shift as a 911 operator, that she was tired, that she just wanted to get home. She said the roads had been empty, except for one other car she'd passed, going the opposite direction, back toward town. My headset felt too tight. I asked what kind of car. She described my car. Silver Honda Civic, a dent in the rear bumper, a parking permit for the county services building hanging from the rearview mirror. She described it perfectly, down to the bumper sticker I'd put on last month. The dispatch supervisor walked past my cubicle, tapping her watch. End of shift. I held up one finger. One more minute. Sarah was still talking, her voice getting smaller, more distant. She said she could see headlights now, coming down Route 9 from the direction of town. Just one car, moving slow, like the driver was tired and ready to be home. She said the headlights looked bright against the dark road, almost too bright, and she hoped it wasn't an ambulance, because the ambulance should still be 10 minutes away. I checked my screen. The ambulance was 9 minutes out. Sarah's breathing changed. She said the car was getting closer, that it was slowing down near the farmhouse. She said it looked like a silver Honda Civic. She said the driver looked tired. I asked her to describe the driver. The line went quiet for a long moment. Then Sarah said the driver looked like they were talking on their phone, their lips moving in the glow of the dashboard. She said the car wasn't stopping, wasn't even slowing down for the bend in the road where the guardrail was bent. My supervisor called my name from across the room. Time to go. I stared at my screen, at the timestamp, at the GPS coordinates that marked a spot I'd reach in 15 minutes. Sarah said the car was drifting toward the shoulder. She said it looked like the driver had seen something on the road, maybe a deer, something that made them swerve. She said it was happening exactly like it happened to her. I told her help was on the way. 7 minutes. She said the car was going through the guardrail now, that it was happening in slow motion, that the driver's face looked confused in the moment before the car tipped forward into the ditch. She said she could see everything, even though her windows were fogged up, even though her car was nose down, and her view should have been nothing but grass and darkness. The line crackled. Sarah said something I couldn't quite hear. I asked her to repeat it. She said the driver was calling 911. She said she could see them reaching for their phone, their hands shaking, their breath fogging up the windows as the car settled into the cold ditch. She said the driver's name was probably in the system now, the call coming in, someone else taking it on a different line. My supervisor was standing next to me now, asking if I was okay. I looked at the clock, 11:59 p.m. Sarah whispered that the ambulance was close now, that she could hear the sirens. She asked if I could hear them too. I couldn't. She said they'd be there soon, that everything would be okay, that the other driver would be fine. Her voice sounded far away, like she was talking through water, through glass, through something I couldn't name. The line went dead at 11:59 p.m. I sat there staring at my screen until my supervisor asked me again if I was okay. I said yes. I logged out. I picked up my keys and walked to my car in the parking lot, the cold air biting at my face. Route 9 stretched out dark and empty ahead of me, the farmhouse waiting somewhere in the distance with its flickering porch light. I turned the key in the ignition and pulled out onto the road, my headlights cutting through the darkness. The radio was playing something soft and forgettable. My phone sat in the cup holder, fully charged. Somewhere ahead, the wooden bridge waited, and beyond it, the long empty stretch where the guardrail was bent and the grass grew tall and the ditch was deep enough to swallow a car. I drove slowly, my hands tight on the wheel, watching for deer.